All right, thanks for being here, Tessellated. Really appreciate you passing through.
Bless up, you don't know.
So, for the people who don't know you, tell us who you are and what you do.
So I am a 23-year-old Jamaican musician, producer, singer, songwriter, artist, general human being, you know.
All right, great. So, speaking to your music, your sound is not like everybody else's. Can you describe your sound?
So I think the best way to describe my sound would be a fusion. I, take the natural Jamaican influences like reggae, dancehall, and those elements and blend them with different sounds from around the world, including jazz, hip hop, R&B, Latin. So it creates that little blend that's familiar, but a little bit different than what people are generally used to.
Mm-hmm. So, speaking of your influences, who are you influenced by?
Yo, that list is long. Still, I feel like it's easier to name it in terms of like eras and sounds rather than individual people. But just off the top to name a few, like man like Quincy Jones, you know, like legendary people, Herbie Hancock, right? Naturally it's gonna be a whole heap of JA people. Like when I was growing up I used to rinse Sean Paul's day in, day out. Right? And obviously it is we have like the elders in the Jamaican scene as well. But it's really just like music in general. There's so much good music from all around the world. I feel like each culture has something different to offer that no one else really has, just from their unique perspective. So, yeah.
So, who are you listening to locally and abroad then, outside of the influences?
So, I feel like I'm influenced by everything I listen to still, right? But right now, there's so much good music coming out. Locally, there's a whole wave of people. The Runkus Rapids Project, I listen to that. Lennon Banton, Neil McCowan, Savannah, Mila, Protege, Zach Jones, Circa 11, Rilla, I'm reaching to start drop some tunes. There's a whole heap of people dropping things locally. And internationally, the same thing. Like Smino is one of my favorites. There's Brother Breland, who is sick. Toby Lou, Ralph Castelli, Versace, Son. There's like, yeah, I could just sit here for an hour and just name that people. But yeah, there's a lot of dope people doing some different things. So definitely tap into that.
So onto your music now. You recently released your first project, Tropics. So talk to us about your process when it comes to writing and producing your own music, and even shortlisting songs to go on the project and features and the overall vibe that you're going for.
For sure. So I was actually a producer before I even started recording myself and all that. So my process generally starts with music first and then lyrics second. For this project, I pretty much produced all the songs except for the actual title track, Tropics. It's my version. But yeah, I think the process starts with generally like starting a beat or starting a riff, some sort of musical idea, whether that's from me or somebody else, and like building on that until it's like a nice structure, and then from there, it's figuring out what that beat kind of inspires me to talk about. So whether it's it's like a vibe, whether it's something more sad, whether it's something romantic, I kind of get the energy and the inspiration for the song from those musical elements, and I just start building on top of that. And then sometimes, when it reaches a level, I say, okay, do I want to finish this myself, or do I feel like I need somebody else on this? A lot of times when I'm doing some different things, I like to bring in other people who, that's more similar to their nature. So for example, No Answer, which was the first single of Tropics, a very African feel. I actually co-produced it with two Nigerian producers when I was in London. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna do a verse and a chorus, but I'm gonna save the second verse because I want like an actual African man on this. Yeah, meant to like round it out, so we got carry on that, Um, and yeah, it's just a vibe. So for the selection process now, it's interesting because not a lot of people ask about that. But this project, it wasn't made all at one time. I had a lot of songs sitting down from different eras. Some of the songs are actually like a couple of years old. Some of them were just made last year, and it was really about figuring out what songs together would best craft the story and vision for that project. Because even if it's the first project, I really wanted it to be an overall showcase of the type of music I make. So if someone didn't hear anything before and they listen to that project, they're like, all right, cool. I get who Tess is, I understand the vision, and they can kind of like look to what to expect in the future, and they won't be surprised by anything I come out with. So I feel like the songs I chose were really filling in different blanks to round out the songs. The song like Tropics is a more hip hop influenced track. Santeria has that Bollywood influence, also very tropical. Sweeter is Latin influence. Me and My Lady is a bit of reggaeton. No Answer to Afrobeat, just to create a nice little salad.
So you speak about being a producer before you went into like being an artist. So what inspired that jump?
So when I first started producing, I was actually very influenced by Major Lazer, like Martin Garrix, Skrillex, like very electronic sounds. And I actually wanted to be a DJ, producer, and do that type of music. But over time, I think my music just naturally got a little bit calmer, a little less intense, like electronic and more acoustic. I got into more using live instruments and making my beats a little bit more minimal. So in that, naturally, it reached a point where I'm like, okay, I want some vocals over these beats.
You just use yourself.
Exactly, because there were certain people that I worked with, like Toby Lou was actually the first person I really produced for, and I love working with him. But I had a whole lot of other beats and stuff. I'm like, I need the right vocals of this, and okay, I'm gonna start recording myself, and it was really bad in the beginning, but I got better. I'm still getting better, and I think because my style of production is so unique, it also allows me to do the right vocals to complement it, and then now that I'm even deeper into vocals, I know I can always create the right bass for my vocals to go upon, because like one can't go without the other. I feel like if I didn't produce, it would be much harder for me as an artist because I'm so particular about the sound I want. But yeah, that's how it all came together.
Mm-hmm. So being a producer and an artist and a songwriter, you know that there's like a trend in Jamaica where producers don't usually get their flowers, or it's a struggle to do that. So what's your take on that whole situation?
I think that is not just a trend in Jamaica, but worldwide. Um, Producers and even worse songwriters don't get the credit they deserve, and not just the credit, but sometimes actually like the royalties. I have had a couple situations where I'm owed like a lot of money off of tracks that I produce, and the contracts are there and everything, but people just don't want to pay up. And a lot of times you feel like you're protecting yourself in a certain way, and you make sure to do things the right way, and you make sure to get paperwork done, and you make sure that lawyers look over it. But then when the situation actually arises where somebody doesn't want to pay up, or it's a dispute, you realize how much it's like how hard it is for the person who is wrong to actually get what they deserve, because you have to open up a court case, you have to file these documents, you have to go to court, all these things, and by all that time, like a lot of people, like for me, I haven't gone after certain things that I'm actually owed just because I don't have the time, Like I'm focused on doing my own project and putting out more music and pursuing other opportunities that I just can't bother. I just let certain things go. I don't let it go, I still hate the people, but like I'm just not gonna pursue it. And I think it's things like that and the way the system is set up that allows continuous kind of exploitation of songwriters and producers, and beat makers and people and musicians too, and people that are working behind the scenes. So I'm really hoping that moving forward, it becomes less and less of a thing as we figure out ways to make sure people get what they deserve. Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about your music video for Chocolates. It was all pink, you know, it was
Yes.
a vision of indulgence. You were in helicopters on the waves, popping champagne, all of that. So take us through the creative process. Did you have a hand in that, or you worked with creative directors? Like, did you style yourself, all of that stuff?
So for that video, that was actually the first proper video that I've co-directed. So the concept for that video was fully mine, and I, recruited my brethren Jesse Sukamel, who's super dope director from Los Angeles. I worked on a few videos with him to make it a reality, And he's amazing. He's a very collaborative type of creative. So he put his own spice in it, and I basically figured out how to take the vision and capture it in the best way. But the pink idea, the styling, all that was my direction, and I pretty much, as you can see the video, as I said, it's very indulgent. It's very kind of braggadocio vibe, just like flexing, and I wanted to do a fun video like that while at the same time making it artistic and making it a little bit different than what people are used to. And I figured the best way to do that is just the pink, because man, they're not really out here in pink like that. And I figured styling the video that way and kind of keeping that as a highlight would let people know that, like, while we're doing this, we're kind of not taking ourselves too serious in a certain way. Like, it's just a vibe, it's just a positive energy more than like a very serious, like, we're showing money, like, we're flexing. It's like, no, the money's fake, and you can see it's fake.
So it had a lot to do with the message of the song Tropics as well?
Yeah, no, I think the song itself for me is like, it's not too deep of a song, right? It's like a really fun song. It's really just meant to be like a vibe. It's like the energy I get when I'm just like partying with my dogs and like do road or whatever. So I just wanted to capture that in the video. It's like fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your breakout song was Pine and Ginger featuring Amity K. Frost. And I mean, everybody knows it now. It's basically one of those songs that you hear people from all walks of life, all situations, all environments singing and dancing to. Do you find it hard now to separate yourself from that kind of, like the recognition that you got from that song and kind of say, hey, have this other music?
Yeah, I think that's a thing for every artist, like your first song is what people are gonna connect to with the most for a while, I know it's a regular thing. I've talked to a lot of people about it. But it's like at the same time, while it can be a little bit annoying sometimes, it's always a blessing at the same time. Just know that people recognize you off a song, and people tired of people even remember that, like a few years later. So while yes, like I would love for some people, I wish everybody who knew Pine and Ginger would know all the other songs too. It's just a matter of time. I think even now with the project and just having more songs out, more and more it's turned from people saying like, oh, you're the guy that's Pine and Ginger. It's like, oh, like, yo, you're this guy. You're the artist, you get me? More than just a song.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we all know that quarantine period, the whole COVID-19 thing has been a hard time for a lot of creatives. And so we've seen where you've gone on lives, you've done your acapella things on Instagram. Did you find it hard to stay creative and keep those creative juices flowing, or was that kind of your way of staying active?
Yeah, I think yeah, just like you said, that was kind of my way of staying active certain ways, because a lot of times a lot of plans were changed up, shows were cancelled, you couldn't really do certain sessions and different things like that. So I think for me, I had to step back a little bit and just do some things that were not ultra serious, but still allowed me to connect and still allowed me to be creative and share and express and talk and do all these different things. And yeah, like same thing, certain things like making content for the internet, just talking with some friends online about their thoughts on different things, and doing a virtual performance, that type of thing. So just different ways of keeping it moving when in a little bit of a weird situation.
So it was definitely a strategic move for you to kind of keep yourself at the forefront?
I think less of like a strategic move in terms of like, all right, I'm gonna plan this and map it out, and more of a strategic move and like, yo, I'm gonna go crazy if I don't do something. So like, let me just do something, and it just so happened to be beneficial career-wise as well.
Okay. So during the Black Lives Matter protest last summer, you were outspoken on the platform and even publicly donating to the Minnesota Freedom Fund and asking people to match your donation as well. Do you believe that rather than just promoting themselves and their music on their platforms, artists should kind of advocate and use their platforms to kind of speak on social issues and political issues as well?
So that um, I think people should use their platform for what they believe in, right? Uh, I am not, because I think there's two sides to it, right? There's two main camps. There's one camp of people who's like, yo, artists nothing, they must make music, you get me? And they shut up. And the next camp of people are like, yo, if you don't share about this or you're not being an activist in everything, then you're a waste of space, right? I feel like for me, like I share and I'm outspoken about things that I believe in because I believe in them and I feel like that's what I want to do and I feel that that's the right thing for me to do. And I think that if people believe in something, they shouldn't feel afraid to share, you get me? I feel like they should be able to use their platform for whatever they want. However, if certain people feel like they don't want to share, that's their choice as well, you know? But for me, I feel like I have this platform. I'm not afraid to share things, even if they can be polarizing. Where certain people don't agree, or certain people don't want to hear my opinion because I don't really care. I'm just going to talk about things, and I feel like I would rather say something that is true to me, and people get vexed over it, than I not say something because I'm afraid of that backlash.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've already spoken a little about artists and creatives during this period of pandemic. What's your take on the government not lightening COVID restrictions for the entertainment industry? But we've seen where sports industries are being lightened. Basically every other industry except for this.
Except entertainment. But I think it's interesting, and it is also kind of a reflection of how the government treats creative industry in general. So on one hand, I personally don't think that okay, boom, it's the best time to just fly concerts and things. I don't think that this would be good, but then also it needs to be across the board, right? So if you're going to say, okay, this can fail, then why not free up something else? On the other hand, when there's people like me who are saying, okay, I'm not gonna host any shows, I'm not gonna hold a concert because that's not what's supposed to be going on right now. But then yet, they're not really enforcing. So there's whole heap of people who are going around the thing and doing events without permits, and there's restaurants that have mad people there. Then it's kind of like a slap in the face to people who are actually trying to follow the protocol. It's like, okay, I'm suffering because I'm doing the right thing. Meanwhile, you're allowing other people to go around the thing and get away, right? And same thing, it's something in general. I feel like Jamaica as a global brand, music is one of the top things, you get me? Like same thing, when you hear about Jamaica globally, the first thing people are going to think of is either weed, Bob Marley, or Usain Bolt, right? It's one of the three. And usually, Bob Marley comes before Usain Bolt, right? That's just a fact. However, when you look at what the government is actually doing to fund the creative industries in Jamaica, it's like less than minimum, right? They won't even ease up customs to allow people to bring in the up-to-date equipment and allow just to be on an even playing field with people internationally. Yeah, they find a whole heap of money into other things and they have a whole heap of money for random things. But literally one of our biggest exports, right? And one of the things that actually probably bring in tourism and bring in just the most recognition to our brand globally. They kind of shun it. And even in schools, there's no support for music industry, no support for creative industries in schools. People are kind of told that that's not really a thing, and they kind of have to find their own path, and they do, because when you're passionate about something, you make it work. But at the same time, they could be capitalizing way more on this amount of creative talent and the lengths that our creative industries reach, despite all the different setbacks that we have to face. So I think it's a short-sightedness, and I really need to kind of just put more into it, because just with a little bit, we could go so much further.
Mm-hmm. So, okay, I'm gonna get a little bit personal.
Okay, cool.
So, with songs like No Answer, Me and My Lady, and Sweet Out, lyrics seemingly speaking directly to a person, one has to ask himself if there is someone behind those lyrics. Like, is there?
So, interestingly enough, right, when I'm writing my songs, I'm not writing them from my perspective a lot of the time. You get me? So, I mean, like, even in times where, like, there might be somebody who would think that, like, okay, this person is clearly like a significant other, and it's like my like, you think, okay, this is clearly inspiration to the song, but a lot of the time it's not even me. You get me? So, for example, for Sweeter, it's definitely, a song about a woman. A lot of my songs are about women. I like women. I don't know what else to say, but it's like it's almost more like a movie in my head. So, like, that song, I remember writing it. I almost wrote it like with a video in mind, like a storyline, where there's a brother and he's trying to get this girl, and he's fighting for the girl, and it's back and forth and back and forth. And even though that could technically be me, it's not really me. You get me? So even though it could be like, okay, like, I guess somewhat it's based off of my experiences and the people in my life that mean a lot to me, or who I'm in love with or have feelings for or whatever. It's equally also just like characters and just like a storyline, like as if I was writing a book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so I get that, but that was a very textbook answer.
Yeah, textbook answer.
So, plans for Valentine's Day or no plans for Valentine's Day?
Plans for Valentine's Day, I guess we'll have to see. We'll have to see what goes on.
Valentine's Day or no plans for Valentine's Day?
I mean, we'll have to see. We'll have to see what goes on. I mean, realistically, every day I get up, I have a plan for the day, so that's how it goes.
I feel you. So, alright, EP just dropped, you kind of riding that wave right now, but yet still, I mean, we still have to know, like, any more content, like what's coming next, any collabs, like, can we expect new music from Tessellated soon?
Definitely new music. I have 2 new videos coming of songs of the project, and then some new music that will come in really soon, for sure.
So, do we do a piece of something?
Piece of something that's very big. That's very big. Yeah, I'm definitely giving more than that.
Alright, so give me like the chorus of a song that you have coming soon.
Oh, a song I have coming soon. Interesting.
If you can, maybe like a 2 bars.
Okay, I can give you a 2 bars of one. This one goes like again. My sugar, brown like the sweet honey, my sugar. She don't want my money, my sugar. Spend little time with me, my sugar. Wind up your fine body, my sugar. My sugar ting, my sugar. My sugar ting, my sugar. My sugar ting, my sugar. My sugar.
Alright.
That one, I'm excited about that one. Some African vibes,
Alright, cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited too. So, what are 3 things that you can eat?
I can't leave the house without rubbing my legs on my head. Straight. Okay. No, but if I can't leave the house, okay. Here's the thing, there's different ways to answer that. Because like straight up, can't leave the house on my wallet, phone, and keys. But that's kind of boring, you get me? But usually on a normal day, I think I definitely move with my camera, just to like get pictures. I get a lot of inspiration from just like visual imaging. So I kind of walk with my camera, and when I'm just going about daily activities, I just take out one picture and get the scene I see. That is my give me like inspiration for later. Um, I usually roll with like some Palo Santo or some incense. I have like I kind of burn it occasionally. It's like in the car or like on the road.
In people's establishments.
Yeah, it's like just make the place smell nice and bring up a good vibe. And lastly, water. Have a roll with a bottle of water in the car. Stay hydrated. You know, keep the skin nice and fresh and keep your organs feeling vibesy. So yeah, it reminds me for sure.
Okay. So hair at sleek, once it's hot, trendy, and cool, we'll consider it certified sleek.
Certified, okay.
So what would make you certified sleek?
I mean, yo, just look at Mr. I don't need to explain. But I mean, yo, I feel like I am authentically me. Nobody can tell me different. And I'm just doing my thing. I'm just doing what I love, trying to make good music that connect with the people. And I feel like that's pretty sleek. So yeah.
Okay, cool. So where can your fans reach you to keep up with the latest and greatest?
So the best place to reach me is Instagram at TessVibe. You can find all the updates on music, the lives, virtual shows, videos, just random activities, all that type of information is there. And if you want some more obscure things, you can go on my Twitter at Tessellated, and yeah, that's where I tweet like random ones, just getting arguments with people, like all that thing. So that's more like the dark side. But between those two, you should get all the information you need.
All right, cool. All right, thanks for passing through, Tess. Nice talking to you.
Thanks for having me.